welcome to the third episode in the Breaking Out of the Business Model Box podcast series. If you haven't already, go ahead and tune in to episode 1 and 2. The first one is all about tuning into your intuition, which is essential for breaking out of the business model box. And the second one is all about how do we actually do that? How do we actually break out of the business model box? So there's a couple of exercises in there for you. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about how do we reverse engineer an offering, product or service that sells. And there's several different steps to this process. But again, I cannot stress enough how important it is to be tuned into and fully aligned with what feels right for you. The same goes for crafting an offering. And what are offerings? So offerings are the things that we offer to our audience. So that could be an ebook, it could be a book, it could be a program, it could be a service in person or virtual. It can be a lot of different things. And in order to create something that really is aligned and sells, there's a little bit of groundwork that we have to do. So that first piece is to really know who you are and how you like to serve. The second piece is to really understand your audience and where they're at, and then find that point in the middle. So that point in between, this is how I like to show up and serve. This is what feels really good and aligned for me. And this is what my people need. This is where they're at, and this is how I can support them. So we're going to look at what those are. So the first step is understanding who is my audience. And inside your passion-based business, we go into more depth of how do we really define our audience. At this point, if you're watching this series, you've probably already come across a lot of different things in terms of marketing and how do we craft our audience. When I first started out, creating ideal avatars was really big. It's something that was basically the cornerstone of every program or coaching that I went through. And while I think it's important, a lot of the exercises inside of that, I don't believe anymore in crafting one single avatar. I don't think that that's what serves us, because a lot of the times it forces us to focus on more of the demographics versus the psychographics. So the demographics are things like how much money do they make? Are they male or female? How old are they? Are they married? It's specifics that can be important depending on your business. So if you're marketing products for babies, you're probably talking to moms. And so it's important to understand the demographics of your audience, but what's essential is to understand the psychographics. So what are their beliefs? What are their values? What are they struggling with? What's keeping them up at night? And the way that I really market and the way that I teach my audience to market is that we're hitting a very broad demographic, but we're being very specific in terms of the psychographics. And when we focus more on the psychographics of what are they experiencing, where are they actually at, what are their beliefs and their values, what do they think about, what do they want to create, then we're able to really attract a wide variety of people that are all our ideal audiences. So in general, I tend to attract more women just because of my branding and the way that I talk and what I focus on. But I have worked with a wide variety of people in terms of demographics. So I've worked with men and women of all ages, of all backgrounds, of all cultures, all across the world. Some are parents, some are not. Some are single, some are married. And none of the demographics really matters. What matters is that I'm very tuned into the psychographics of where they're at. So they want to uncover who they are and the work that they're here to do, and they want to build a very unique business around it, hence the series that we're going through right now. So the psychographics are what allow me to really tap into the heart of who they are and what their experience is. And the second part of that is what do they want to create? So really understanding they're here. This is what that experience looks and feels like very specifically in a wide variety of ways for my ideal person. And this is what they want to create. And the wide variety of specifics that could show up as. So again, we don't have to niche down so specifically that we're only speaking to single moms with 3 kids who live in middle America. We can speak to the heart of it is a person who has a lot of obligations They are overwhelmed by everything that they're going through, whether that's family or personal or business or work. And they're feeling really lost and unsettled, and like they're just going through the motions and they don't know who they are anymore. They've lost themselves in the process of creating this life that they have, however specifically that might show up. And that's not working for them anymore. They want to understand who they are. So that's the psychographics of where they're at now. The psychographics of what they want to create is how they want to feel, what they want their life to look like, what would be different, how would they be showing up, who would be there and who wouldn't. What is the lifestyle that they're working to create? So really going from where are they at now to what do they want to create? And when we understand who they are, where they're at, who they want to become, and what that's going to look and feel like, then we can look at how do we help them bridge that gap? What specifically do they need in order to get from point A, whatever it is for them and your audience, to point B? And that is where you come in. That is where your genius and your expertise and your experience and all of your amazing offerings come into play. So now that we know where they are and we know where they want to be, if they're the right client for us, we should be really excited right now because we know how to get them from here to here. We know how to bridge that gap. Maybe we don't know exactly how to package it, but we know, again, going back to intuition, we know in our heart, I can help them. Or that is exactly the person I want to work with, and that is exactly what I want to help them create. So tapping into your intuition, you should be very excited when you understand point A and point B, because a part of you knows these are my people. These are the people I want to serve. This is the work I'm here to do. We go into more detail about the specifics inside of the program, or if you're working one-on-one with me, obviously we can't do that for you in this podcast series, but in general, you should be very excited once you understand point A and point B, because you know on some intuitive level that you can bridge that gap. Now, how we bridge the gap is where reverse engineering and offering comes into play. So again, knowing that this is what they want to create, what benefits and results do I want to promise them? When they're done working with me, when they're done reading the ebook, when they're done with the program, when they're done with the coaching, whatever the specific is, what benefit and result do I want to promise them? And promise is a very important word because that's what we're looking for. When we're shopping around for a product or service or a coach, we actually don't even care what their experience is. Do they have the right certification? I don't even care if it's a program, if it's a book, if it's one-to-one, whatever it is. I only care if you can solve my problem. And the way that I understand that is in your languaging. So you understand where I'm at, how that feels, how that is specifically showing up in my life, and you get what I want to create. You can hold space for the vision of who I want to be after our work together and how I want my life to look after our work together. And for you, if you're a health coach, that's how is their body feel? What is their weight? How is it affecting their energy and their relationships? If you're a business coach, that's where do they want to be in business? How do they want to be serving? What kind of money do they want to be making? Do they want to increase opt-ins or have more registrations for their program? So you're speaking to their specific and you're promising them specific benefits and results. And I can't stress the importance of the word specific and specificity enough. We like to speak in vague terms because we know what we mean when we say them. So if I say you want to create a life you love, I know what that means to me. And you probably know what that means to you, but you can't latch on to it. You can't say, yes, that is what it means to me to create a life I love. It means that I have a partner that I am just so connected with and that I'm building a life with. It means that I understand who I am and what my passions are, and I'm actively building a business and making it happen. I know that my health is fully aligned. I know that I'm doing the things that I love, and I have the tribe of people that I'm just so happy to have in my life. If you put it in terms, specific terms that I can understand, that people can latch onto, that's what they care about. They don't care where you went to school or who you trained with. All of that stuff has its place inside of your branding and your marketing and where you tell the story of how you got to do the work you do and how you are qualified. But when they're shopping, what they're looking for is, can you solve my problem? So how will you take me from point A to point B? And what will I walk away with when I'm done? So we start by looking at, what do we want to promise them? And once we understand what we want to promise them, then we reverse engineer to what do I need to create and how do I need to deliver it in order to give them these benefits and results. It's that simple. It's not any more complex than that. And yes, there are a lot of specifics and details that we work through as we start to create the offering. But when you're first thinking about, how do I build a business that's fully aligned for me? How do I step out of my industry, out of the box that I've been put in or I've put myself in? What are the offerings that feel really aligned for me? Who are my people? And we start to actually put together our offerings. That is the heart of it. It's that simple. Who am I serving? Where are they at right now? What do they want to create? And again, where they're at and what they want to create is very specific. As many specifics as you can come up with so that you really understand where they're at and you can speak very clearly to that. And then, what do I want to promise them? What are the benefits and results that they'll walk away with? And now that I know what I'm promising them, how exactly does it make sense to deliver that? The first thing I do for any offering that I create is I start with an outline. So if I know I'm promising you X, Y, and Z results and benefits at the end of this offering, what is the best way for me to do that? What do I specifically need to be teaching you and talking about? And how do I take all of that information and organize it in a way that makes sense? Is that an online program with video content? Is that the best way that I can deliver this to you? Is it specific worksheets that need to be created? It doesn't need to be an intensive one-day experience with me in person. And if so, what specifically are we doing inside that time? And how can I really think about, again, I'm moving you from A to B, and this is all of the stuff you're going to go through in the meantime in terms of what you need to do, what you need to understand, what you need to get rid of, what you need to change, all the blocks and stuff that are going to come up as we bridge between A and B. How can I really create a container for that? And again, we're looking for that sweet spot between this is who I am, this is what feels aligned for me, these are the types of offerings and services that just really get me jazzed. This is where they're at, this is what they're trying to create, this is what I want to promise them. And we find that sweet spot in the middle. So knowing what they need and what you need to do in order to deliver those results in a way that feels aligned for you. And it can be easy, again, going back to some of the earlier episodes, to look outside of us and start to model what someone else is doing. Well, they promise similar things. Maybe I should just do a program like them. But they ideally have created their offering from what works for them. And you have to do the same. So if you want to be successful and you want to really enjoy what you do and you want to attract the right people, you have to go through this process. You can't just look outside of you and say, well, they have a 6-week program. I'm just going to plug some stuff into a 6-week program. You have to say, I'm promising them these benefits and results. I know that I love to write, I love to create systems, and I love to coach. And so I'm going to put together all the steps that need to happen for them to go to A to B inside of this structure, so that I am able to deliver on my promise to them and I am able to create something that's really exciting for them because you're promising them exactly what they want. And it's really exciting for you because you get to teach and deliver in a way that's aligned for you. So go ahead and walk through these steps. Who is your audience? Both the demographics and the psychographics. Again, demographics if they're relevant. So if you have a product for newborns, you're speaking to moms. Are they first-time moms? Do they have lots of kids? Does their income level matter? Does it matter if they're single or married? Note what demographics are important for you, but we're not creating one specific avatar built around those demographics. We're looking at how can we speak to a broad audience while being very, very focused and narrow. So demographics and psychographics, who is your audience? Where are they at right now? What does that specifically look and feel like to them in all the different ways that that can show up? What do they want to create? Again, very specific. What will that look and feel like in all areas of their life? And what benefits and results do you want to promise them? And then, what's the best way to deliver that? Thank you so much for watching this episode. I look forward to sharing more in the future.